Michael is one of the few marketing specialists that I know that also holds degrees in computer science, software engineering, and telecommunications engineering. So welcome, Michael, and we'll cross to you for our first masterclass presentation.
Thanks for that warm intro, Stephen, and welcome everybody. Yeah, as Stephen said, we've got a very wide background in marketing and digital, and I've been at this probably for almost 25 years. So we basically tackle everything from marketing to tech, and in that, we've been sort of renowned for giving advice and giving a lot of advice as much as we can push out into the marketplace. We realize that the space is enormously challenging for everybody. Our clients, friends and family, like pretty much anyone we talk to, they're always looking at trying to find out what's the latest thing to do. So we sort of sit at the edge of that, and we suck in and work on a lot of enterprise platforms. We build a lot of software, we do a lot of technology, but more and more we find ourselves doing marketing work and pitching marketing ideas and really getting to understand what organizations are about. So that is, you do all the tech stuff really, really well, but it's not just ticking boxes and sounding smart. It's also like really understanding people. And it was good just listening in today as well to understand that, everybody's story is different and everybody's way about this is different. And, yes, there's little hurdles to overcome. And hopefully today I'll be able to give some sort of a wider lens insight to those pieces. So we've done this almost everywhere. As you can see, we've delivered campaigns all around the globe. Obviously, we're based in Australia, but we've got offices in Asia as well. The campaigns that we touch, the good thing is no matter where you are, there's a lot of analogy to the campaigns. So, whether you're running digital marketing or social media or advertising or websites, this is quite universal now. So the platforms that we tap into and the advice I give you today will be very relevant to where you are. So we pride ourselves on being able to get really good results for our clients. So the stuff that I'm talking you through today, and we'll get into question time after this, but if you do have any questions on anything and you want to email me, obviously my details are available. Please feel free to email me. The task is always to get an amazing result out for our clients. And we've been able to achieve really good results, sometimes 10 times better than clients that are handed them to us. So we work across, as Stephen said, a lot of industries. So we've got a lot of experience, but the underlying thing is it's always the same. Is storytelling and being understand what our clients are trying to get out and what your customers and what your clientele are trying to get out. So that was some sort of high-level glossy stuff about our agency. But let's get into the tools and piece. So putting digital first. Now, the big thing so far is this COVID-19 reset. It's been an enormous change. I mean, we saw a 30% drop off of our clients in the first month of COVID because we do have a lot of tourism, entertainment, restaurant, food and beverage clients that were immediately affected. So we went on that journey with our customers as well. And a lot of MSMEs that we worked with took a huge hit. And that, understanding of that, the one line that always resonates for me, someone told me when I was very, very young, you're only as good as your next gig. So no matter what is thrown at you, it doesn't matter. Those challenges are things that we need to overcome. The travel sector, again, is something that's going to come on in a longer period of time. But it was also good to hear again today the experiences of people that have been able to take that step back and go, okay, well, what else can we do? How do we tap into the digital environment? And we've seen enormous numbers in digital pop up over the last year. Our retail customers saw basically a 5-year increase in a few months in terms of volumes. So let's step into the next slide. So connection to reality. So this is like one of our top rules, and it's super overlooked. Like everybody thinks, okay, well, we can just jump into digital, and these tools will be able to provide us the ability to reach new audiences, and we're going to do very well over integrations. And again, it was good to hear that raw feedback today from people saying, okay, well, we have problems with passwords, and then we have problems with integrations, or I don't know who has our logo, and all those little things are really important. But I'm not talking about that here. What is often overlooked is like the reason why we're connecting to our audiences. And that piece has to be very, very tight and very interesting to the end consumer. You know, we don't all have penguins on parade, but we have to find what that penguins on parade is for us. And it doesn't matter how small your audience starts with, it's how you build it up and it's how you stay true to that content over time. Next slide. So the thing about COVID, like what I do is I talk to people mainly more than anything. I mean, I come from a technology background, and I did a lot of software engineering in my 20s. But really, what I do is I talk to people a lot. So, and I look out for changes and trends in environments that are going to affect marketing. So recently, I was in Gold Coast Airport, and the flight was delayed 5 hours. Now that's a long time. I mean, typically, a few years back, if a flight's delayed 5 hours, everyone's really pissed off. But it was interesting to see how people really coped with it. I mean, the changes that we've had because of COVID are enormous, and people, like the audiences, like if we take the lens right back and think about our customers and our audience and tourists in general, they're willing to put up with a big change to get back to normal. And that change, that flexibility, is something that we should understand. It was funny, then I was walking around and I saw this vending machine, and it had a Snakes Alive pack stuck in it, right? So that that's where we are. COVID's really stopped us in our tracks, and it said to all tourism providers, like, what do we do next? Do we go after, do we worry about that pack that's stuck, or do we go back on the ride and put the next coins in and go for 2 packs? And I really see that that's the opportunity that's ahead, is that the enormous learnings that have been figured out in the last year, but also the not just from a provider's point of view, from an MSME's point of view, but from the customer as well. They've experienced digital, like, with a rapid, many years advanced in digital. Like, so everyone's gotten onto the tools. They've been shopping online. There's been enormous uplift in that. That's something that we can now tap into. People know how to do that very, very smoothly. And they're looking for those experiences before they're going to be doing more research before they actually go and book travel. Next slide. So this, I'm going to probably reiterate and drill on this piece. Like that, the number one thing is, who is our audience, and we've done a ton of work in, cafes and entertainment, local attractions, holidays, travel agencies, and government. All of these projects that we've worked on, and that we were working on the year before last, had an immediate standstill last year. But we were in contact with a lot of these clientele over the time, just to see how they were doing and what they were doing to pivot, what their audience was doing, how they were adapting. One of the interesting, and this is about us understanding those audiences more than anything, and for us as, people that are providing advice into organizations, into MSMEs, we have to understand what it is that they're really trying to look for in terms of their trends within their marketplace. Anecdotally, a friend of mine owns a lot of cafes and restaurants in the city in Melbourne, and Melbourne City was almost dead for an entire year. And coming back online this year because things are starting to build up again, and he operates in a lot of tourist areas. He said, okay, well, we're doing well now because things have started to open back up a bit, but May is going to be a big downturn. And I said, okay, well, why is May a downturn? He goes, well, it always is. It's colder, less people go out. The trend, that's what happens in the trend. And he said, but it comes back in June. I said, well, why is it coming back in June? Like, it doesn't make sense. It's colder in June in Melbourne than May. Why is there more people out and about then? And he said, well, it's because people, they don't want to just, sit inside and do nothing. They get a little bit, the ants in their pants, and they actually want to go back out. So, they've got this period of time, and, last year was a very big forced period of time, but they're ready to get back out there. And having these digital pieces in place will make sure that, people can find, what they're going to do next very easily. And they are looking for new experiences. Next slide. So know your audience. So irrespective of who your audience is, I think everyone needs to be very, very honest about that. You know, like when you're going out to find out who your new audiences are, it is very important to figure out like who they are, what the demographics of them are, what their ages are, you know, what their interests are in and outside of the particular offering or tourist offering that you're providing or that the organization's providing. Digital does have the ability to target lots of different groups very easily and segment them. But you want to know who your core groups are and what drives them and what interests them. Because as you adapt for them over time and as more people come to experience local tourism, the audience will actually tell you a lot about how to adjust your business. So not just are we pivoting for digital, but we're also pivoting for, you know, how we're going to shape the experience once they get to a destination. So digital is very good at connecting us very quickly with these audiences, but it's also it can become expensive to target too many audience. So we always give the advice, you know, really be very lean in the audiences that you're targeting, because that will really tighten up your messaging and the communication to those audiences as well. The thing about digital is there's a lot of factors to it. So sometimes it's overwhelming when you're starting off and when organizations are starting off or starting into the journey. And not only is it overwhelming, it's also changing all the time. So if you know, you get good at a new technology, say like Facebook Live, then, you know, we're always pushing our clients to look at new technologies as well and see where the opportunities are and try those things. Things like uploading to YouTube are great ideas, but also checking out new platforms like TikTok and others give the ability to see where audiences, where you can tap into audiences that may be very, very aligned to the product and offering that's from the MSME. So we do tracking for our organizations to try and figure out what the overall value is of what they're doing on platforms. And so we take into account a lot of factors. And it's important to do this because people don't operate on just one platform anymore. It's not just Facebook, it's not just YouTube, it's not just your website, it's not just SEO. There's all of these factors that are important to building a stable audience online. And once you've built these audiences, they're very, very powerful. So the one thing that I'd recommend while you are building up audiences or helping people figure out how to build up audiences is absolutely maintain that authenticity and integrity, because you want the right people to follow you. It's very easy to get a lot of numbers really quickly, but they won't be aligned to what your end service is. Next slide. How we do that is something called information architecture. And this is a little bit of a buzzword at the moment because more and more people in marketing are getting onto information architecture. But essentially it is trying to draw boxes and connect the dots about how people are coming in from different platforms and how they are connecting into your digital environment. So, you know, are they coming to Facebook? Okay, and then from Facebook, how are they potentially booking, or how are they inquiring? You know, are they going to your website first? Is that the best outcome? Are they on one of your social media pages? Are they on a TikTok? Are they watching a video? From that video, how do they get to to contact customer service? How do they book? Those little pieces are extremely, extremely important. So for us, information architecture is a combination of, you know, where are people going? And the other buzzword in this space at the moment is customer experience, CX. So a lot of these little words and little buzzwords are thrown around in digital, but it basically means is like understand, you know, how people are stepping through different platforms to get to a result that the MSME wants, right? So it's not just watch the content and get the awareness out there. It's trying to take that next step and actually capture them into an audience that you start to own. So next slide. So I'm just going to run through quickly the big five in digital of how we make that happen, or how we assist in making that happen for our clients, and hopefully there's some take homes here as well. Next slide. You know, I don't know if anyone knows this story, and I am conscious of time, so because I'm good at talking. So The Michelin Guide was initially set up in France, and like this is an idea around how to get people to buy more tires. Now it's a strange way to get people to buy more tires. You release a guide about food, right? So, but they realized that they could tie the idea in together. So they're thinking about this something to do with storytelling, something to do with their organization, but that they can tap into something that has a related experience. And they had this very simple system. A good restaurant, 1 star is a good restaurant in this category. Excellent is worth a detour. So you drive there on a trip, you take a detour. Exceptional is worth a unique trip. You drive all the way there just to experience this restaurant. I mean, we all know the success that Michelin stars have had in the restaurant industry, in the travel industry, but it's ideas like this. They don't have to be as big as this, but you do need, like, the factors around audience and your organization is also about storytelling and being able to produce content that is aligned to something that's interesting. Okay, so overarching these big 5 ideas, we're always thinking about what is the content and how do I create this storytelling that's going to be interesting about my destination. Next. Okay, so the pieces of that we're, again, I mentioned the buzzword customer experience, and I really just talked about the storytelling aspect of this. Where are we going to place storytelling? Okay, so the storytelling is either now, we have this experience available now, right? Or the ongoing storytelling. So campaigns are, ads or offers or the deals that are happening now, right? They're very easy to put together, holiday packs or buy one, get one free. Those campaign ideas can spike attention, but storytelling is really about the ongoing process of storytelling on social media, on your website, on email, and of course, supporting that with media buying. Okay, but it's always about people. Next slide. So campaigns. So you see big campaigns in our marketplace, on television. These are also, big campaigns in digital, but a campaign can be a very simple idea that's put out, like to do with just, it doesn't have to be such a massive campaign. Campaigns can be little ideas. So, we're doing a lot of Mother's Day campaigns this week for our clients, and they're just offering a simple product tied into the concept of Mother's Day. Now, while we're looking for bookings and sales for our clients, this week and next week, we're also always thinking about, okay, we want to build up that earned media ecosystem. We want to build up that earned audience that we're going to own. It's not worth just spending money on campaigns, because if you spend money on campaigns, then you're always reliant on those campaigns. That's why you go back and you think about, okay, well, what is the architecture, the information architecture? If they look at a campaign and they get excited about it, how do they experience, how do I get them into my storytelling content? How do I get them into following me as an advocate or a supporter of my MSME or organization, so that they do want to travel there, they do want to book, maybe not consider it now, but consider it later. And if they don't want to buy today, if they don't want to book today, how do they book later down the track? You've got to keep them involved in that storytelling. So campaigns for us are always, they always serve a direct marketing or a direct response benefit. So, you spend some money, you've got to earn more money out of that campaign, but we're also looking at that long-term piece always. Next slide. Social media. Okay, so social media is one of those like enormous challenges for organizations, and people start, on one platform and try things out. And if they're unsuccessful, it's very daunting, and they think, well, I don't have a great following, or I haven't had these huge successes. Okay. But what the question is always is, what are we going to get out of these platforms? All platforms are changing dramatically. Like they've got new functions and tools in them built in all the time, and it is a big job to be part of it. But there's no better way of saying this than, yes, there's a barrier to entry, but you have to be involved. There's so many people spending so much time on social media. And you've got the MSME really has to figure out themselves what that engaging content is. It's easy to highlight great stories like the Penguin Parade and say, well, look how phenomenal they can be. But you don't have to set those as benchmarks either. We can have a nicer ongoing position that grows over time. Like, you don't need an enormous amount of people following and watching. You just need to think about growth. And then again, back to the storytelling idea, like what content are you putting out that is interesting? You'll know because more and more people will watch it and more people will share it over time. And that's what we're really looking for. And then in terms of what's going to happen next, tell people to look out for virtual reality tours and tell people to look out for, short 15-second TikTok video clips. I mean, they're super easy to put together. And, one of the big realizations, the light bulb moments for people last year is I don't need to spend an enormous amount on production of video. Like I can shoot it myself. There's interesting characters in and around our business. Next slide. Okay, this is one that EDM and content funnels is one that's often overlooked. We spend a lot of time in social media or building campaigns or trying to put ideas together. But EDMs, email marketing and content funnels are enormously powerful. So and what we normally do is say, okay, well, let's have a look at your posts on social media for the last, the 10 posts, and how do we string a theme together and put out marketing, say, pick up a platform like MailChimp and send them like 3 or 4 emails in a row. And at the end, there might be an introductory offer or something like that. Again, these themes around, enjoy 10 days in our location is like a little virtual holiday or something that you could build up in an email campaign. And because you get to gather their email address and you have a direct contact with them and you're providing good content, you can see when they come back to your website and when they come back through your marketing, and you start to gain a really good sense of who your audience is. So there's a combination between the email marketing here, but also there's a lot of tools online now that can track those users coming in and out of emails when they're reading them, and how active your audience is, not just by watching the likes and follows on a social media channel. Next slide. And all of this forms part of the information architecture. So even if your information architecture document at the start is very, very simple, over time you build it up and you realize where the real power is with your audiences. SEO, I'm just conscious of time here as well, Stephen. So I'm going to speed through this because I did put a lot of slides into SEO just to highlight that I know I'm talking about these things from a very, very high level, but every one of them has a very, very deep learning curve that you want to get through. So the more organizations understand of these things themselves, the better off they'll be. Because yes, we can all pay somebody or pay a marketing agency to do work. Some of them are very irresponsible with that work. They say, okay, well, we're ticking the box and we're doing the work, but they don't understand whether or not they're producing real value for the MSME. Stephen, you wanted to jump in?
I was just going to say that, look, I think it's really good to explore SEO, so I don't feel you need to race through it. It is important, the way you just put it down, which is that people often don't understand SEO and therefore they're not using it effectively, and they get shortchanged by the agency that's helping them. I like that thought, particularly for MSMEs. How do we think about it as a single person business or a mum and dad business? How do they get into SEO and stick to the important parts?
So like all of these big 5 are important, right? But let me say it this way, like we're a very responsible agency, okay? But my team members that produce the work for our clients, they're busy. And that's what happens in all agencies. Now, I always push them, like, what is the value you're giving back to the client based on this work? Whether it's SEO or a social media campaign or an advertising campaign, anything, right? Some agencies just go across and tick the box. We've done the work, no problem. It's on you where the value is. We try and bring that value in and say, okay, well, have we earned you that value? And that's why I showed you the graph before with the ecosystem value, because we're there to say, you've earned this, you can use this, it's a benefit to your business. But, the complexity of this, of all of these, we know is challenging. SEO is one of those things that's overlooked. It's easy to resource and it's extremely powerful. So if you've got a website and you're producing content for social media, and hopefully you're also producing EDMs that are going out to the audience that you own, SEO is an easy way to make sure that you can capture keywords and searches in your local area to attract tourists from anywhere, all over the globe. Because especially when you're putting in destination addresses like Melbourne or Bundaberg or Port Phillip, an island, right? Any of these little things are huge buzzwords. And if you're unique in that space, you'll win that traffic and people will find you. So from a high level, SEO is one of those things that you earn. Over time, it builds up for you, builds up for you, builds up for you. And unlike campaign advertising, as soon as you turn off advertising, it's off. You've lost that traffic. SEO, when you build it up, and you build it up from social media, from campaigns, from EDMs, once you've earned it, you've earned it. And it takes a lot to lose it. So, it takes, time, 6 months, 12 months to build up. But once you've earned it, you own it. And that's something that you can rely on. Okay. Obviously, next slide. Google's very good as well at making sure that people still want to pay for it in competition. But if you own that first organic or couple of first organic positions for particular keywords, you do very, very well. Here's a little insight to the process that we run for our clients here at AndMine. So first of all, we develop an SEO matrix. It's just a smart way of saying SEO keywords. We're looking for primary, secondary, and tertiary keywords in the category. Brand words are also important, like the name of your or the name of the MSME or the company or the place that the company brand that people are looking for. But category words are eminently more important because they're the general terms that people are searching for. When we look at those keywords, we try not to make hundreds of them. We try and start with a nice list. There's tools online that tell you what the volume of traffic is that you can earn if you win those keywords, if you get into the mix of those keywords. And again, you're going to need some online tools to assist with this. But once you've got that sense and you go, okay, well, I could earn 3,000 or 4,000 or 5,000 pieces of traffic per month, that's extremely valuable. Like average click costs to when you buy those keywords, a couple of dollars, sometimes more. So you can very quickly generate, $5,000 or $10,000 worth of earned media per month, and that's ongoing. You get that value every month, all year round. The next big piece will be content, though. So you can't just put stuff keywords into your website, and that's enough. Google wants you to constantly produce content, and that's why I'm saying think about your social media posts, think about the emails that you're putting out. How can you make them blog posts or posts on your website or information pieces on your website so that you can draw into and get that SEO over time? To do that really well is going to also require some sort of off-site linking back into your website. So join local tourism groups, join local, state, and national tourism bodies to get your links posted back to your website, especially around the particular topics that you will work back up for those keywords. You start doing a couple of these things in place and you'll generate good keyword, good backlinks and good traffic over time. And it's an iterative or a long process, but it is extremely, extremely valuable. We put nearly every client of ours into SEO. Next slide.
So Michael, I could suggest too that this is particularly an area that regional tourism boards could really get involved here, because if you're a very small MSME, you probably haven't invested very much, if anything at all, in SEO and knowing what these words even mean. But this is something for policymakers to really think about. How do we bring this type of support out to a regional level? I think there's some really good points around that, which,
to get people into it, like people can reach out to me. I can send some white papers and there's articles in Forbes that we've written for how to do SEO, starting to all the way through, and they're not detailed or complicated, but they get you on the right track. Especially local tourism and places that are that are unique experiences. Like if you put Bundaberg, animal rescue tourist spot in, if you've written a small article on that, you're going to be the only person in the world that wins that link. And there might only be 5 or 10 or 20 people searching on that a month, but you'd be surprised. They're the people that want to actually come and see that. They've heard about it, they've heard something about it. Somebody mentioned something that they went and saw an animal shelter at a farm in Bundaberg, and all of a sudden they type that into a search string, and you've got that traffic. And those people are absolutely interested in coming. They're easy to win, very easy to win. And of course, you can produce thousands of articles like that. It's one of the strategies that we use in our agency. There's 500 articles on our website purely to capture those unique circumstances that we're aligned to our clients and everybody can do the same thing.
So this is where an individual MSME's funnel can be thought of. You know, they're not trying to capture the whole world of tourism traffic. They're trying to capture a very narrow band of it, which is, as you've said, uniquely theirs. It's about their people, their authentic customer journey that they're trying to build a relationship with.
Yeah, exactly. And look, you can start on those. Again, think about your audience, think about what they would be searching for and how it relates to you. You put little articles up like that, you're going to win those searches. And then you can expand. Like once you start winning traffic, you'll get excited about that because it's essentially free traffic. And those, especially those unique searches, pretty much no one's going to be advertising on those keywords because they're very unique. And as you go and as it improves, then start thinking about doing things on a more formal basis and getting an SEO agency or an agency involved to assist with the technical side of those pieces. Go with organizations that are reputable, but always go with, well, what are you going to get from me out of this? How's it going to grow? I've done the groundwork. I've set up articles. We're doing okay. I want you to accelerate this and double it for us or triple it for us. What does it take? And always get an outcome from an agency if you're going to work with them.
So I suggest I just want to remind people that if you want to ask any questions, just enter them in the chat, and we're keeping an eye on that, and we can bring them into the conversation. Maybe jump forward to the gaps and pain points slide that you've got, because I think that sort of summarizes some really key issues really quite nicely. And as you say, we are
we've talked about media buying. Again, that's really just campaigns. Next one. And again, ROAS is really about just making sure that you've got getting numbers out. If you're spending money, make money. Okay, so gaps and pain points. So there's different types of pain points for every organization. And again, we're talking organization. We're marketing and technical, but it's really about people. We're there and we're asking these questions all the time. What content should always be on? What should be in the ad to convert sales? Not just, we're going to put out a campaign. We want to make money every time we spend money. On our landing pages, what are the calls to action? Is it book? You can't book now. How do you sign up to our email marketing funnel? How do you follow us on social media? But really making sure that on the other side of that, the email marketing funnel is interesting. Don't just get them to sign up to something, but not make it interesting. Tell them why. You're going to experience our destination for the next 10 days like you're here with us, right? I can't think of anyone who a website wouldn't take that offer up.
That's right. I'd like to really just emphasize that point. You're the first person so far in these workshops to mention call to action. It's a very common term amongst marketers, but perhaps for the less professional,
I'm very
we really need to understand this concept.
Okay, so let me give you an example, right? So the Bundaberg Farm. Sorry, I've forgotten the names.
Splitters Farm.
Splitters Farm. Okay, so if Splitters Farm had a big graphic on the homepage or on one of the key website pages and on the blog posts around, say, animal shelter or animal rescue, but it could be like, join us on the farm for the next 10 days. Now, I know people can watch on Facebook Live. I know they can pick up little pieces on TikTok and they're following in other places. But if you dropped into their inbox, a nice little story and a beautiful photo every day for 10 days, it feels like they're experiencing it and they're getting this personalized message around, and to do that, they've handed over their email address. And that will get them more engaged and it will give them the ability to forward out pieces like that, they've been personally invited to something rather than they're just following on. Now, all of those tricks work, but a call to action really says, this is the offer. It's a free offer. It's about content, and I'm going to get you involved from that point of view. A call to action could also be book now. But again, there's limitations on that for organizations for the next 12 months, or we don't know. So again, we're trying to develop CTAs that have essentially not just book now, it has got a bit more depth and storytelling to it.
And you were talking about that earlier with standing out emotionally, which I thought the way you described storytelling was really, really valuable. You were talking about, being authentic with people about them as customers, but also warming them up, tracking that relationship. Effectively, then you're making a funnel to capture it, but then you're standing out emotionally. And that's a great example of, how then that leads to a call to action that is not general, but it's highly specific to you, to your small business.
That's right. Like, we often feel as owners or operators that we understand our audience, but you've got to try things out and speak to them about that. And it's a very emotional, going somewhere and experiencing a destination is a very beautiful and emotional part of life. And you want those things to sit in their memory, and you want to frame them before they come with, this is going to be this sort of journey and experience. And you can really get very, very close to that emotional bond, and provide the beauty through. Again, I'm a digital marketer, but I know that the real life experience is much, much better. But there are those storytelling aspects, and if you get them right, things accelerate exponentially. And we see content providers on new platforms like TikTok go from a few hundred views to millions of views, to millions of followers in weeks, because they understand and they've thought about that. Maybe they've got lucky, but all the others have thought about their audience and really grinded on, what am I actually giving to people and why, and what do they like? Okay, well, I'm going to repeat those pieces and expand on them, and drill down and then expand, drill down and then expand. And then some other pain point. Again, there's a million questions to pain points. What is our, are we generating the right traffic to get the right followers? If we're spending money, are we getting out? What are we getting out of our organic? How are we growing our organic followers? What is the engagement rate like? Do we need to shift up our tone of voice? Are we being a little bit too formal? Do we need to, let our kids, urinate and yell in the background sometimes accidentally, because this is real life and people love those experiences. They're the ones that they talk about. It's the non-planned, it's the blooper reel that really make people laugh. And yeah, again, we assess this from a very business, like everything we do, we assess it from a business point of view. So, are we spread too thin on resources, or are we able to handle these platforms? You really have to pick things that you can do and can push out. But don't be afraid to just look over the horizon a little bit and look at the next platform and test that out. Don't just get stuck. Facebook Live's working for us. Awesome. We're not going to change, right? Don't do that. Always look over the horizon, because that Facebook Live content dropped into another platform, say like a TikTok, and shortened down, might get you 10 times the viewership, might get you 100 times the viewership. We're always trialing things like that out for our clients as well. And then, yeah, the big headache for the last year was definitely COVID-19. I think, I'm not sure what else. What next slide? What's on? I think we're done. Again, this is just about making sure we're measuring takeaways for today. I won't dwell too much on that. There's a lot of measurements and stuff and KPIs that we can do in our marketplace. The takeaways. Okay, so beside trying to take away the 2 packets of snakes alive, and if I was doing this live, I would have a lot of snakes alive to be handed out because they're delicious. Know your audience and make sure that you're connecting with reality. Don't do things that are off topic for the destination. Make sure you're storytelling across as many platforms as you can resource, but don't overdo it. Don't think you need to overproduce it or overcook it. There's also tools that can spit out content to multiple platforms at once. And yeah, just keep checking. What are the real world KPIs, the calls to action, the things that you want people to do, and how do you connect them through digital events? How do you connect them through digital tools? They're the big takeaways for today, and yeah, I hope you've enjoyed the presentation. Thank you.
Thanks, Michael. It's been a really great presentation. I really like how there's a range of different ways of looking at something. We think of marketing as sort of this, from an external point of view, it's a simple collection of steps. But I like how you really brought in some of the detail to it. I particularly think that the information architecture concept that you referred to is something that could really be distilled down for MSMEs to utilize better. Because I have a similar term, I call it my tech stack. Everyone's got a tech stack in their life. Now, your tech stack might be the remote control on your television, how to switch on your microwave, and how to use your mobile phone. You know, it's a collection of devices or software that we need to know about. In a sense, that's what information architecture is. We want even a small operator to understand what the tools are that they can utilize and the next steps to take with them. So I'd like to thank you very much for coming and presenting. That's been incredibly useful. We're managing to stick to time almost, which is good. So thanks for coming on, and we're going to cross over to Liz Ward from Tourism Tribe. I'd like to introduce Ms. Liz Ward. Liz has a passion for the tourism industry and the growth that comes from the adoption of innovative technologies and digital capacity building, having led the Australian Tourism Data Warehouse for many years and now with Tourism Tribe. So Liz delivers projects to benefit destinations and the thousands of businesses, attractions and events that make up the tourism industry.
Thanks so much. I'll share my screen and just bring up some slides. What we just had there was a fantastic presentation that I think was really educational in nature. And that's what we need to be doing. We need to be thinking about different ways in which to take people on a digital journey. And I think that there are, you know, there's the need for telling them the why, the strategy. There's the need to inspire them with examples and case studies. There's the education piece about how you do it. And then there's the support piece. And I feel like this forum has touched on all of those. I am also mindful that there's been a lot of, you know, one-to-many conversation here with our presentations and the panelists. And I really encourage those people from different destinations for this session, please feel free to chat as I'm presenting on my pieces about what you're doing in your destinations or examples that you've seen that you could share in the chat with others who are online with us today, because I think seeing what each other is doing in different destinations is very valuable and it creates inspiration for all of us as well. But what I wanted to do was lift us up a little bit in terms of now coming back a bit to strategy about and looking at what consumer travel trends are. What are people looking for? Even in COVID, what has stayed the same in terms of what are the triggers for them to want to travel to a destination or to hand their money over in a value exchange with a tourism business? And then just talk about, so I've just got 7 of these travel trends and what would be some good responses in terms of digital presence opportunities and non-digital as well, because it's obviously a lot about people and relationships, not just about the tools that we use. And I'm sure many of you, given that you're working in government circles and thinking about marketing strategy and tourism strategy, are very familiar with this diagram or something like this about the different stages of the travel purchase cycle. You know, starting with being inspired, where that sort of, it's all that emotional state, moving through to needing information so that you can plan out what that trip will be and, you know, price and detail, moving through, continuing through a funnel of trust, hopefully with the same destination and the same set of providers or businesses, to the buy stage or book stage, that yummy stage of anticipation once that booking is made. Then through to the experience delivery, which is all about what's delivered on the ground, obviously by the business, and then through to that fantastic, valuable stage of advocacy. Now, what has really shifted has been the shift to experience driving the decision making. That's been a big shift over the last 10 years, that people are saying, well, what is going to actually create memories for me and my family or the people I'm traveling with? What new memories are we going to create together? What experiences can I have that are things that I'm really passionate about or interested in learning about? It's, you know, those experiences are going to be about connection with people and place and culture and food, adventure or you know, cultural experiences. And so that's what we need to always be thinking about now in terms of what we are putting forward, because that's what the consumer is looking for, and that's what in their mind is driving particularly that inspiration and planning phase of this purchase cycle. And it's certainly in the advocacy stage where they are writing their reviews and posting on social media that they are going to be telling their own stories about the beautiful experiences that they have had. So the opportunities are, and this reinforces what you've also heard in the last presentation about knowing your ideal customers and the experiences that they are seeking. So really profiling your ideal guests to be able to make sure that you're creating experiences that you can market and deliver. Now that comes at a destination level, also at the business level. And then what are the opportunities to collaborate to create experience-based packages and itineraries for your local tourist market in COVID? So, you know, that's the way in which we've seen destinations being able to do, I don't know if it's a full pivot or if it is just thinking about the needs of their customers in that localized area, and being able to put experience-based packages and partnering with others in the local area to really create some new unique things that they can take to market. And that's an opportunity for us all as we are looking for ways. Before, you know, we're going to have a long time, I expect, before a lot of the international travel restrictions are lifted. So what are the new things we can take to market that are very experience-based? The next trend, and we've seen this as well a lot and keep evolving over the last 10 years, is this concept of personalization. So this, you know, you're not marketing to the masses at all. You know, when we run workshops and we ask people to tell us about their target market, and they might be a small business and they might sit back and they scratch their chin and they say, well, you know, we appeal to everybody. You know, everyone can have a great time with us. But we know, and we have to educate them then on this and explain to them the basics of marketing, bearing in mind that SMEs and micro businesses, they can be very, very good at what they do in the delivery of the experiences, and they can be fantastic hosts and amazing at their customer service. But they aren't marketers. They don't understand about the theory of marketing. That's not their thing. So, you know, taking them through a process of understanding how important it is to be able to define their target market and then to personalize down. Now, what we mean by that is exactly what we all experience as users of Google and Facebook and Instagram and TripAdvisor, that these websites are presenting, using their algorithms, content to us that the algorithm says that we'll be interested in. So we've become, as consumers, very conditioned to only seeing things that are relevant to us based on our interests and based on our behaviours, websites we've clicked on previously, conversations we've had with people. So the algorithms have gotten so sophisticated, we then need, as marketers of our small businesses and our destinations, to adopt that same approach and present information that is relevant and of interest and very helpful to our ideal customers. So this concept of pain point again. If we can present information on our websites as small businesses that is very targeted to our ideal customer and takes away their pain points. So we're talking about here, say, if it's a family that is looking to get away for a holiday, they're traveling with young children, this is our target market, then what pain points do they have? For example, they need to find accommodation that actually adds to the experience for their family. It caters for them. It actually has maybe activities for the kids to do or offers childminding, or what are the pain points? We need to take those away and make sure that's really clearly presented on our websites to help our ideal customers move through that trust journey and to then move into the planning stage and book with us. Segment customer databases. So anybody who's had sales online essentially has the beginnings of a customer database. And in any crisis, whether it's post that natural crisis or in COVID, moving into a sales mode that is utilising our customer database is a great tactic to do. These people have already purchased from you. There already is hopefully a level of loyalty to your destination. So we want to be able to reach out to them. So we need to get our database in order. Now, for a small business, that could simply be extracting out their customer email addresses out of their online booking system or whatever they use, getting them into a spreadsheet and starting to do those things that we've heard about in terms of going out to them with offers that are going to be relevant to them. And we then also, when it comes to social media, gone are the days of thinking of it as a free marketing platform. We do all that free organic posting. That's great. We're going to grow our following. We're going to get engagement. Unfortunately, the changes in the algorithms mean that our engagement rates and reach have come down a lot. And we've got to shift our mindset on social media with the organic work and seeing it as a one-to-one relationship opportunity on social media. This is how we can engage with people and think about how we can use groups. So there's a few big changes that have come through where personalization is really driving that. The third trend is about customer content. When our customers speak about their experiences at our destination or at our business, that customer content absolutely trumps, is far more potent than business content. And research shows that 2/3 of content that is available online is not presented by brands or businesses, it's presented by customers, so through social media and online reviews. So we need to acknowledge that, and this is something that all small businesses can do, is to be more aware and more engaged with customers when they do posts. If they are good enough to tag our businesses or use a hashtag that we can follow that is our business's hashtag, then you have the opportunity to engage back with them or reach out to them and repost that content. So this is an important social media tactic, let alone the online reputation pieces and when they write reviews, to make sure that that's just part of standard procedure within the business, is to respond to all reviews. So opportunities here in summary is to really, it's another attitudinal thing, and this really comes down to the culture in the business as well, is to really value your customers' feedback. This is a trait of entrepreneurs as well. When we've interviewed very entrepreneurial businesses, they really do value the customer feedback, and that customer feedback drives the continuing improvement in the customer experiences that they offer, and that's how they're competitive. So really valuing it, not being shy of it, not being afraid of it, and bringing it into your business, that any staff you work with or your business partner also really respect it. So that means implementing a review management policy and being really consistent with that. We know that the algorithms on review platforms like TripAdvisor or Google My Business, their ranking is based on the recency of reviews, how many reviews, as well as the quality of reviews. And that's why it's still so important to be generating as many reviews as you can, particularly as destinations are opening up again. Share your customers' reviews and social images. So it's a great thing to do, is as you're getting positive reviews, every so often use that as a post and get it out there on social, and use these testimonials throughout your website on relevant pages. Include customer stories in your content. So if you can be speaking with your customer, the business is talking to their customer, include that content. They might do a short video with them. They might take a photo with them, or a photo of them enjoying their business or the destination. And always, as a easy thing for businesses to do, is to establish their unique hashtag for Instagram, get it in their branding, get it on everything they can and use it on every Instagram post. It becomes part of their brand and really easy then for their customers to know what it is and to reutilize it. Trend 4 is video. So yes, we've seen video growing and growing on social media and websites, YouTube, and it still is far more engaging, and the algorithms on social channels are rewarding businesses when they post video. And Instagram is introducing new mechanisms for video. Yes, stories on Instagram stories, the engagement on Instagram stories is out performing on straight Instagram posts. So Instagram stories is a great opportunity and is a simple form of video. And then they've introduced Reels. So great integration with other video platforms that you're doing. And also we've got guides is another new opportunity, which is great for destinations and great for individual businesses to use on Instagram. So when we use these new features that are presented, it means that the algorithm on those platforms, they give a little bit more push because they want us to use them. So that's why it's good to do so. And also, as we've heard previously today, the power of capturing video and then using it in different ways. So yes, get it onto your brand, your free branded YouTube channel, but then edit it down, use it as parts of blog posts, use it in social media posts, and reuse that content. So key takeaways here in terms of opportunities is quality video for your website. So I'm not talking about the do-it-yourself stuff here for your website. I'd love to see businesses, as they have the investment dollars available, and this is, sometimes there are grant funds or government assistance that goes out there, getting quality video for their website, getting that up onto the branded YouTube channel, then do-it-yourself video for Facebook and Instagram, create Instagram stories and story highlights based on your content themes on Instagram, and then use new social video functionality like Instagram Reels and create guides available to us which is great for tourism operators. The 5th trend is about podcasts. So I'm sure that many of you listening in now consume fantastic information through podcasts. It's become the fastest growing on-demand audio in Australia over the last few years, and I expect that that's in many other places as well. And I encourage destinations and businesses collaboratively to think about what the opportunities could be to have their destination represented on podcast platforms, because people are looking for interesting content. Anyone who's attracting the drive market, it's a great opportunity for people to be able to learn about a destination whilst they're driving. And when you go on to say Apple's podcast platform or others that you might use, do a search. Go and do a search for your destination and see what you can find. Now, Hay is an outback destination in New South Wales in Australia, and I was presenting some online workshops for them. Did this exercise. What did we find? We found an amazing podcast about the history of, as part of the Second World War, and Japanese people being interned in Hay. It's an amazing podcast with that history, which makes you think about Hay. And if you are in that drive market in New South Wales, it encourages your interest and motivation to visit this place and to see the museum and see what was there. But of course, podcasts are presented in such creative ways, aren't they? With interviews with people. So it really brings to life the story. So I would love people listening to this to think about, for your destination, what are the opportunities for podcasts? Is it about the artists in your area? Is it about events? Is it fabulous stories about locals or history or visitors to your destination? How can you collaborate in your region to create podcasts? And then what do you think the benefits would be beyond the economic and marketing benefit from capturing these stories? Think about the cultural and historic benefit that comes from it. My sixth trend is about paying for eyeballs. Now, because of the massive algorithm changes in the way that Facebook, and Facebook, as you know, owns Instagram as well, the way that Facebook presents content to users, it has certainly reduced our reach and engagement over the last 2+ years. And we're hearing this consistently from tourism operators that used to enjoy quite good, steady, organic growth in followers and higher levels of engagement than what they are now. And that's just reality, that's what's occurred. That major algorithm change in beginning of 2019, what it essentially meant was that Facebook business pages, they automatically, anything they posted got less exposure or was seen on less news feeds. And how the algorithm changed significantly was that when a post was made, if a conversation was triggered on it, so people started to comment on it, that was the highest ranking trigger that caused the algorithm to show it to more people. So it was creating that conversation. So that meant that if your posts are fairly passive and they don't, then that doesn't serve you well. And it means that tourism businesses start to spin their wheels, feel like they're wasting their time. So that's why being strategic, as we've heard about with social media, and really identifying what content themes you are going to post based on your persona or your avatar of your ideal audience is really important to do, and to use video and use different forms of posts and to have a mix of posts, but be consistent with your content themes and be consistent with how often you post. So that's sort of some of the strategic aspects. But what it also means, and of course what Mark Zuckerberg didn't say at the beginning of 2019 when he did his media releases on the big algorithm changes, the subtext here is about paying for eyeballs. How do you use these platforms then to benefit your business and your destination and grow awareness and get people to see the campaigns that you are running? You need to do ad campaigns. And you'll do ad campaigns to grow the reach on your content, to drive traffic to your website, to get more of your target market, and to essentially feed your trust funnel. So this concept of bringing people into the top of a funnel and bringing them through over time through presenting different content to them to eventually, hopefully, be able to get them as a customer of yours, or at least interested enough in you that they're prepared to let you put them onto your email database to be able to present relevant content to them. So we have to start to move the industry's marketing knowledge to here about this concept of bringing people through a funnel. And that's a big ask, I think, for small businesses. And we, as people who support the industry, yourselves in government, need to understand some of these concepts so that people who are supporting industry on the ground can help them get the fundamentals right of their digital presence, but start to move them along an understanding of what marketing in the digital age looks like. So we're nurturing our leads to grow trust, to bring them through awareness, interest, and eventually to a sale. So the opportunities, first thing is get that online presence foundations to a quality level first. So we're talking about having a good website that meets the needs of our ideal customers. and it has good search engine optimization on it, can be found in Google. You have a good Google online, good Google My Business listing. You're responding to reviews on all review platforms, and you've got the basics of your social media presence set up well, and you are posting consistently, have a bit of a strategy around your organic work. And you have a customer database so that you are ready to be able to move to this next stage. Understand your customer segments so you can target market, because you're not marketing to everybody. You'll just be wasting your money. So you need to understand them so that you can experiment with going after audiences in your ad campaigns. And it is a long haul thing. You know, a lot of small businesses will never start doing Facebook ads on their own. They will go to an agency who will help them through the process and teach them about it. They might be able to continue on their own then, but it is a very technical area and there's a lot of trial and error. Yes, the Facebook ads platform and Google ads are very good at sort of helping to find you the right audiences, but getting the audience right, getting the messaging right, getting the content of the ad right, it's all a learning curve. Skill yourself in the basics of Facebook and Instagram ads, and your website needs to be lead funnel ready, which means when people come to that landing page or come to your website, they're going to be enticed to stay with you, download content from you, or take that call to action that you're encouraging them to take. My last trend I wanted to talk to that there is a lot of growth in is online chat. Now, you and I, listening into this, no doubt have used online chat on websites, have used Facebook Messenger. Over 1 billion Facebook messages a month by consumers to businesses, so it's a big growth area on Facebook. And you ask any Facebook business page owner, are they getting messages on Facebook? The answer is yes. Unfortunately, quite often what they say after that, oh, it's a real pain. I have to respond to them. I don't want to, like, oh dear, but this is what customers want. This is what people want. 53% of users report that they're more likely to shop with a business where they can use a chat app. They don't want to pick up the phone. Most of the activity that is happening online by our customers is on mobile. But they don't want to ring you. They just want a quick response. They want to stay on the mobile device, be looking at other things while they're waiting for you to respond, and they need that automatic response. So we as an industry, and we're supporting the industry, need to encourage our tourism industry to move with the times and to accept this as the same thing as somebody doing an inquiry form or phoning you in your business. And if you don't, there is a good chance that it will be a missed opportunity. And we have got outstanding feedback from tourism businesses who have implemented online chat on their website, and it has been a game changer in terms of conversion on their website when they have paid attention to it and been responding to people's inquiries on that online chat. The conversion on their website has gone up at a really great level. So takeouts from this is, I'm sure that all your businesses in your locations have done this, but make sure they've got their Facebook messages turned on, and that you guide them to go into the settings on their Facebook page and set up automated responses, because what that does is it prompts engagement with people on their Facebook page. So it starts to allow for us to use Facebook as more of an engagement and customer servicing platform rather than being obsessed with it for just posting information out. So automated responses would be taking the most frequently asked questions that people ask and then having them available there for people to click on, and then spinning back to them the automated response that might solve their problem. It could take them to a specific page on the operator's website to get more information, but hopefully it keeps them moving through that journey of trust. And then also implementing on an online chat plugin on their website. Now, just about any modern website platform will have a facility to do that. If they're on WordPress website, there are many online chat plugins for that. Yes, you can also take the online chat widget of Facebook and put it onto a website. It's a rudimentary solution, but it's not a bad place to start for businesses because it's free and it gets that functionality onto their website. They can always set in Facebook or the online chat plugin an away message, and they can have, they can come back in first thing in the morning and answer. And most people are understanding of that you're not going to be available every moment of the day and night, but at least you're capturing those messages and they're not being lost. Lastly, just a final point to leave people with that we can all do, and we should all do, is we should all be sharing local experiences. So what is it that is beautiful about the destination that we live in or we are visiting, and share those online. Use the hashtags for your destination. When you follow businesses who have Instagram and Facebook accounts, and follow them, comment and share when they post, so help them with their engagement. But everyone do our bit to help the destinations that we are in, to be able to expose the beautiful experiences that they offer. So that's it from me, Stephen. I'll stop sharing there, and happy to be part of any further conversation now.
Thanks for that, Liz. That was a fantastic overview. I've been madly scratching up a summary. It's almost like this chart of steps to go through to effectively build this journey that they need to. One question that I get this question quite a lot is what to do with trolls. So, you build up your website, you're getting fantastic sort of stories going, and you've invited people to be able to connect with you, and you get these people that somehow want to interrupt that conversation. It's a strange question, but I just thought I'd throw it to you. Do you have any answers?
I've spoken to a couple of, interestingly, I don't think they were tourism businesses, but other small businesses who've experienced this. And what I've noted is that they were doing well. Okay, so that, as you say, they were doing well. They were putting themselves out there. They were talking about the good things that they were doing. And then there's been this sabotage which has come in. And yes, they can do, a certain amount, like blocking those people from being able to comment on their posts, for example. It doesn't stop people sabotaging from outside. And I think that this is where it really comes into play, the loyalty of your audience. And almost even saying to, and this is where we've got to, see, I think this is a really important concept, and I mentioned it in my presentation, is shifting our mindset from seeing it as a free marketing platform. Yeah, to a certain extent it is. It's about telling our brand story. But I actually don't, if you just think that way, it's not going to work for you. You have to see it as a conversation with your audience and giving them content of value and inviting them to contribute to the conversation. So asking them questions and, just really inviting that engagement, because that it's building that loyalty that then they will protect you. And they will advocate for you, and they will drown out the other voice. So it's a little bit, besides blocking those accounts from being able to comment, etc. It's about using social in a different way and seeing it as a conversation platform with your audience as opposed to a marketing platform. Same goes with online reviews. I'll probably hear this one a lot more often from tourism operators is, I'm sure, that review, I'm sure that's a fake review. I've contacted Google, I've contacted TripAdvisor. They won't take it down, even though I've done this, this, and this, and this. They're never going to win that battle. However, if they do best practice which every tourism business should be doing. And they are asking all of their customers for them to, well, all of their happy customers, to leave a review, inviting them to do that and have processes to do that. And that can be as simple as, I'm engaging with customer here as a host, and they say, I'm loving this. You say, look, we really need to build up our online reviews. Honesty, we had a rubbish fake review. Anything you can do to help us. Or we've been in hiatus. We've hibernated our business for the last 6 months because of COVID. We really need to build our online reputation again. Would you please leave us a review? It would really help. And then it's your post-stay emails. It's giving them a feedback card as you're checking them out. All of these things contribute to building fresh online reviews. You respond to them all. And that helps. It just nullifies and pushes it down. So you get the positive voice to be much louder and more recent and more frequent than the negative voice.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic advice. And, you know, you mentioned there one of my favorite things, which is have your believers, your customers, do the work for you. So if you get them engaged, they will effectively push the bad stuff out of the way. So it can be very difficult to stop sometimes that type of content. But
it's
on the whole,
online world. Yeah, it's the online world. You know, the other benefit of the online world is as a tourism operator, I can go and look at how another tourism operator in my or another destination or a similar sector to me is marketing themselves. I can see what they're offering. I can see what people are saying about their business in their reviews. It's incredible transparency. So there's a real positive to that as well, because if I'm looking to pivot my business or reshape my product into packages, I can go do all the research. I can even see what people are charging for it, you know. So it's fantastic.
And look, I suppose the final thing about that is that consumers, you and I, they're smart. They're just like everyone else. They can actually see what's real, and that's where the authenticity comes back to it. It's very hard to trick people into believing something that just doesn't make sense. And it really is about this incredible value of seeing our customers as our friends, our community, our partners. It's definitely the essential way that MSMEs work.
Yeah, I think Michael said this, and I apologise. I kept trying to find sorry, Michael, I kept trying to find your first name in my head, and I haven't had enough coffee today when I was referring to your presentation. But it's so, sorry about that. It's so, and you said it too, Stephen, that it's so driven by experience anyway. You know, as a small or micro business, and I've seen this again and again, if they deliver a fantastic experience, it takes the pressure off their need for marketing. It really does, because the consumer voice becomes so loud. They just need to enable it. So they need to invite the reviews. They need to put their hashtag everywhere so people use it. They need to maybe do a bit of sharing of their customer content, but it takes the pressure off their marketing. And that's where true organic communication and marketing really starts to work for them, because they're focused on the experiences that they're offering. I'm not saying they don't do any marketing, but it tips the balance. And the consumer voice is so loud. So despite all the changes that happen in technology and upcoming changes, GDPR and not being able to retarget and things that we were talking about yesterday, we can't control any of that. What can we control? We can control the experience, the customer service, the culture in our business, our own website, and making sure that is a fantastic website. And, you know, that focus on what we can control is what we should do.
I'd love to extend a really warm thank you to both yourself, Ms. Liz Ward, and Mr. Michael Simonetti for coming on today and sharing this fantastic stuff with us. Here is my quick little summary. It's pretty quick, but I would argue that probably, I might just position it, it's a bit hard to read on such a small screen, but yeah, look, I like the concept that we've got some fundamental steps Fundamental steps are website, Google My Business. Get those going as your first things. Start to get your SEO working, and then most importantly, post consistently and have one hashtag. Then we talked so much today about storytelling, the authentic journey, warming them up, building a relationship, tracking their journey, and most importantly, love that comment from Michael, standing out emotionally. Then we get to say, well, what do we do with this content? We shift our content to a one-to-one relationship on social media, which was Liz's point. How do you do that? You do that by Instagram stories, by reels and guides through there, and by creating different ways for people to engage with you. Point was made about creating quality videos, being able to edit and reuse video content across platforms, maybe explore podcasts. That's it is a fantastic way of getting people to be able to hear your content whilst they're doing something else. And finally, that lead funnel ready or call to action concept. What is the outcome that you're wanting? If you don't know what that outcome is going to be before you get there, you probably won't get it. So great to know exactly what it is. And the final thing I have to finish with is sharing local. This works right across APEC economies. At the moment, people can't travel in the way that they used to. Local experiences become even more important. So I'd like to just draw this event to a bit of a close. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming today. And I'd also like to especially thank Australia's Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade, DFAT, and Ms. Ruth Sears and the APEC Tourism's Working Group. Regards.